More money, you got less problems. At least minor ones, all your basics accounted for. Team elite I run with, I'm guaranteed to be Final Four. Less money, you got more problems. More money, you got less problems. At least.
All right. Good evening, Albany community, and welcome to Back, bringing Albany community's knowledge. Tonight, I have an honor and privilege of interviewing a childhood friend of mine, and I look forward to tapping into her story tonight. And I want you guys, Albany community, to welcome tonight's guest who's going to be interviewing with us tonight, Miss Candyce Marie, U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Woo! Yeah.
I'm Candyce. Hi.
Well, thank you for being on with us tonight, Candyce, and congratulations on your accomplishment. You know, I did get a chance to tune into your most recent accomplishment via Zoom. So congratulations on moving up in the ranks within the U.S. Navy. That's an extreme honor and privilege. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
we go way back to elementary school.
Listen, we go way back, and it's like I was talking to her before we started, and was just like, it's really a privilege and an honor to just get to see how the life story turned out for a lot of us. You know what I mean? It was like, for a lot of us, we probably couldn't see this in advance to be like, well, yeah, it would never be like that. But you know, it's just great to see you happy, healthy, and whole. You know what I mean? Whenever I see people post about you, it's always about a radiant energy that you're giving off and just being positive. And you know, that's really why I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to focus in on you, what you're doing, what your upbringing in Albany, or how it affected you moving forward in life. And, you know what I mean, to be able to tap into that and be able to share that, so that way maybe we can get some more Candyce Curries popping up about Albany.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, before I give you my first question for the night, I always like to ask everybody that I'm interviewing, because what is it now? 7 months into a pandemic. So, you know, how have you been? How has the pandemic affected you and your family? What kind of creative things have you guys been doing to get through the quarantine?
So we're happy and healthy. I'll start with that. That's always a blessing. You know, waking up not being sick, because other people don't have that privilege. So I would say we're blessed to not have been affected by COVID, like personally, but then my, you know, immediate family, or, you know, even my close family, so to speak. But, you know, there's always a risk. I work at the hospital, so, you know, I'm just glad that, you know, none of us contracted COVID, but working through it, it's been, you know, a little rough. I have a 6-year-old son, so, you know, it's a little rough not being able to see his friends, and, you know, you just don't know the level of exposure of other people and things like that. So it was a little bit rough for a while, especially with the homeschooling when the pandemic started. That was rough, I'm gonna be honest. My hats off to teachers. They definitely need to be paid more. We knew that for years, right? We knew that, but we really realized it during the pandemic. So they're really special people. You know, I praise them to the utmost for, you know, bringing up our future leaders.
Yeah, I agree. I think if did nobody learn anything, you learn the importance of teachers, and you learn the importance or how happy we are when we get a chance to send our kids either to daycare or to school. So it's just like, you know, actually, so now where you be like, okay, well, I'll go in there and I'll cuss the person out, I'll cuss everybody out in school, and be like, you go in there, you better bring some edible arrangements, you better bring some cookies, you better bring some flowers. And I think it's really taught us how important teaching is, and to give a lot more consideration than what we have been given. Because it's not just the teachers, it's the whole school administration. Imagine kids going in there being disrespectful to the staff or to a janitor or to the cook, whoever it is. I'm just like, you know, like I said, we go back to elementary school. Just like, it wasn't no go in there and disrespect the janitor. It wasn't no go in there and disrespect the cook. It was just like every person of the school was an extension of the school. And it was just like, so now, right now, I think people definitely will realize that. And if they haven't, they should, because to see what they got to deal with going electronically on Zoom or Zoom and stuff like that for class. Yeah. On the news is always parents going across the screen. They're like, parents, make sure you put some clothes on and you don't be smoking and you don't be doing this. And so
you need to see the real deal.
The real deal. Yeah, man. Well, I am glad that you and your family are happy, healthy, and whole. You guys have been safe during this pandemic. And like I said, as you continue to provide services working at the hospital, once again, thank you for your service as an essential employee as well. I think next Monday will probably be my first day back in the office since March. And
wow.
And I work for the federal government with Social Security. I've been there now for 14 years, and I'm actually debating whether or not if I still want to do that. So I've got a little bit of time if I want to change it. I might change it, because so you get to stay home and be safe and realize that you're not bringing in, you're limiting the amount of things that we bring in, because we definitely get out. So, but to limit it is important, especially with everything going back up right now.
Right.
Yeah. Well, enough about COVID, enough about the quarantine. Tonight, I am here to find out more about you, what you're doing. That's going to lead me to question number 1 for tonight. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Question number 1. Candice, what are you doing now? What kind of work do you do? What kind of passion projects are you involved in? Here's your chance to tell the Albany community about you. Let us know about Candice.
Yeah, so right now I'm currently in the Navy. I've been in the Navy for 18 years, but I'm currently a clinical nurse specialist. So a lot of people don't know what that is. So, you know, you say nurse practitioner off top, people know what that is, right? Or you say a midwife, or you say a nurse anesthetist. Well, a clinical nurse specialist, that is that 4th type of advanced practice nurse. So we get the same training, so to speak, as nurse practitioners, but we work in 3 different spheres of influence. So basically, I'm working for patients, I'm like the expert consultant to nurses, and then I'm working for the system as a whole. So the organization, cost savings, reducing readmissions, and making sure that nursing is following best practices. So that involves like policies, procedures, and making sure that, you know, all the up-to-date research is what we're following at the hospital. So that's what I do in my everyday job in the Navy. But in the Navy, I don't know if a lot of people know this, so you do your job, but then in the Navy, you have a whole bunch of other jobs. So, you know, I'm a nurse, but nurses in the eyes of the Navy, we fix everything. We're fixers. So we pretty much do a little bit of everything. So that as far as like outside of work activities, I've been doing this since I joined the Navy, but I go and I speak at schools and talk about careers, just encouraging youth. One of my passions was talking to teen mom, because I was a teen mom.
Okay.
Anybody who, you know, sees this interview will know, you know, that knows me will know that I was a teen mom. So just, you know, encouraging young women that you can, you know, your life is not over. You don't, you know, how people think of it like, oh, you had a baby, that doesn't limit you. You know, it's important to have a strong support system and things like that, so that, you know, you can make it through. But sometimes I look back, I'm like, I don't even know. I just did it. I just do. So just encouraging the young ladies. First of all, encouraging them not to jump in, you know, don't do it. But also, you know, if it does happen, you know, still pursue your dreams, because, you know, now you have a child or children to focus on.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
That.
And shout out to you, because not to interrupt, but you know, I know is it your oldest daughter? Is she still at FAMU?
No, she went back to California.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
she went back. She's a Cali girl.
Okay. Okay. Well, I only say that because I was about to. I was going to throw it in and say, well, you know, when I seen your daughter was going to FAMU, and I have a close friend of mine that is a diehard. What do you call it? Rattler. The Rattlers. You know what I mean? So, and she was teaching there. So, you know, I said, well, listen. You know, a friend of mine's daughter is coming there. I need you to make sure that you make the connection with her. And Professor Butler is a good friend.
She's doing amazing things.
Yeah.
She's so inspirational. So I love watching her, you know, everything that she does unfold on Facebook. It's amazing. But yeah, my daughter did 1 year at FAMU and then went back to the Valley.
What? She couldn't get with the South? The South is the best.
Hey.
Yeah. I get it though. I spent a lot of time out there in California. I almost moved out to San Diego at one point myself. So if you grow up there, it's definitely a different vibe, and it's just like it's a different vibe. But
the weather is great, and it's beautiful there, but it's not culture. I'm definitely an East Coast chick, and I'm happy to be back, even though it's in Florida, but it's still the East Coast. I'm happy to be back. It's different.
Yeah, it's different. It's different for real. Okay. Well, let me see. Did I give you a chance to finish? I'm sorry, because I interjected. I got so excited with you mentioning your daughter and that transition for you. I just wanted to say congratulations again, because to have your daughter now, whether she's in Florida or back in Cali, I know she's in Cali now, but that's a huge accomplishment as a young mom to be able to say, you know, I made it through that time or transition, and it made me better. And I also have 3 beautiful attributes to my life that continue on my legacy each day.
Yeah, and they inspire and motivate me. So, you know, my kids are my drive. Okay. So, you know, I'm thankful to God for them. I also do a lot of mentoring. So in the Navy, I mentor, but a lot more so outside of the Navy. I mentor a lot of females. A lot of people who, Black and white, you know, it doesn't matter what race, but a lot of young Black females, you know, see me on social media and they'll just send me a message. And I do a lot of mentoring to people everywhere. So, you know, there's military people stationed overseas. I do a lot of mentoring, like getting their, you know, young women who want to be nurses or in the medical field, giving them advice and connecting them with, you know, people that I know in a specific specialty and things like that. So social media is great in that sense. Sometimes it can be, you know, you know what I mean, but it's great in that sense where you can, you know, kind of connect and touch people that, you know, you wouldn't normally be in contact with. So.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, my pastor just said it Sunday, and he was just like, you know, the internet or social media can be a perfect tool if used the right way. Most of us don't utilize it the right way, and the amount of time, because it is an energy sucker. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can go click on one thing and next thing you know, you're down the rabbit hole. So, but if you use it correctly, it's a great way of staying in touch with people. It's a great way of getting access to information, but it can also be the death of you. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see. Question number 2 for you. This is my favorite question out of all of the questions I ask every person that I interview. What is your favorite place to visit in Albany and why?
My favorite place to visit in Albany? I would say my mom's house. I mean, because that'd be where it all started. I think, you know, I left Albany so young. So, you know, I didn't, you know, I had my old stomping grounds like 3rd Street, you know, little places like that. But like I was so young when I left Albany, moved to New York City and then joined the Navy. So I didn't have, you know, many spots that I like hung out at, so to speak. Back in those days, there was no hanging out for me. my parents, well, one of my parents was very strict. So, you know, I just had my little crew that I hung out with. So I would say my mom's house. Just
Okay,
that's where
okay.
me and my brothers meet up, you know, like connect and things like that.
Okay, okay. I think you're the second, maybe that used their parents' house. Jason Coleman might have been the first. He said, "Rail, you know, my favorite spot is my mom's house, of course, but outside of that, you know, what I mean, it's Green Street. I go down to Green Street Park. So, you know, for you, if it's mom's house, that's still good enough because that's it just shows the complete package. The ambiance of Albany for you is still family. It's home. Yeah. So, okay, okay. All right. You ain't get no spots. Just like you got out of that soon before you had your own spots. But that makes sense. That makes sense.
I was in the Bronx for a while.
Okay.
Probably like 4 years, and then yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I got a question for you, and I think you might have tapped into this a little bit early with one of the things that you revealed. But thinking of your younger self, Candice, what is something that you wish someone had taught the younger Candice?
To follow your first instincts. You know, I think we, you know, we're young, you know, there's a lot of us that are smart, and you know, if you know me, you're like, oh, you know, you're in honors classes, this, that, and the other, but just trusting my first instincts about people, you know, like being around certain people, and the influence, you know, influences, spirits, I believe in all of that. And it's absolutely who you hang out with and, you know, you vibe with, and it absolutely affects you. So I think, you know, trusting my instincts, trusting what I knew, I would definitely, you know, have changed some things and changed, you know, certain people that I hung out with, because my mindset is like, oh, you know I'm smart, but you know, I'm gonna try to be cool too. And I think people can talk you out of certain things, you know. So I would say that.
Okay. All right. And that'll be the worst. Imagine being talked out of who you are, listening to somebody else who hasn't defined who they are yet. And as young adults, you know what I mean, that's like the trap. You know what I mean? Some people don't give enough credence to peer pressure though, but it's like that the whole identity with wanting to fit in. And it's just like, but imagine listening to somebody else and trying things or going down this path because somebody else who we thought was cool at the time suggested it, but now being a more mature adult, realizing that, you know, they weren't fully developed themselves. And here I go going down this. Yeah.
And I think too, like, you know, this is something that came up recently, but like, you feel uncomfortable in those situations. So I always had this uneasy, uncomfortable feeling. I was uncomfortable because I knew there was more. Like I was meant for more. I know I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I'm still, you know, I'm trying to be cool, trying to be down. And I just always felt uncomfortable and awkward, you know, in situations. So.
Okay. All right. Do you think education saved you or opened up doors for you? Why or why not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's easy to, you know, find you can find a job. Anybody can find a job, right? Or maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's not that easy right now. But education is paramount. That I can't say it any better. Like the more you know, it just takes you places. It takes you places. It's, you know, you network. You're able to have more opportunities. Education is very important. It absolutely it changed my life. It changed my life. Okay. You meet people, you go places, and you know, you're able to do more because you know more. And you know, I think education is important, and it's important to pass on that knowledge. So you're not just getting the education just to establish a career and then stop there. I think it's very important to share. Knowledge sharing is important. You know, you have so many people kind of like doing the same thing. And I think if we collaborated more and shared our knowledge, we could do so much. And that's one of the big things I think about when I think about Albany. Is like, I see so many creatives. There's so many, you know, creative people, and there might be people doing the same thing. And I think collaborating together, we can do so much. There's room for everybody. You know?
And I think getting to that point of realizing that, you know, it is space for other people other than you, but it takes it takes a level of maturity to get that, because sometimes you think that, you know, if I don't take advantage of this right now, you know, this is my opportunity now, you know, I got to stomp out this person in order for me to get it. And really, it's not. It's enough room. It's enough space for you to get exactly what is destined for you to get. I know you mentioned earlier, you know, I mean, your relationship with God and understanding the spiritual attributes about ourselves. Everything that's for somebody else isn't necessarily for you or for me. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
and you can go, you can try to, snuff somebody out of a position, and you get there and you don't even like that position. It's because it wasn't for you. You know what I mean? And you could realize it later or stay in it because you care about what other people think, and that's not truly your passion. I've seen it time and time again in the military. But I think the biggest thing is just like a paradigm shift. People need to shift the way that they change your thinking, and look at things from a different perspective. And we could grow so much more. So I think that's something that Albany kind of needs to see, like just different. It's different when you change your mindset. It's all about mindset. You can go so much further, and we can build each other up because we can all win. And Albany can be so much more. There's so a lot of people I probably just lost touch with them, but there's so many creatives. There's so a collective of creative individuals there that it should be so much greater.
And it's small, so I mean, you can thrive in a smaller environment. Like me, I went to an HBCU in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was a smaller school, but listen, there's everything about my education and at Johnson C. Smith prepared me for the world. And it was just like, sometimes being in a smaller environment can help you too. So Albany is set up as a smaller environment. And it's not that many people. It's not as many people that are taking advantage of it for its full potential. Sometimes we get involved in the negative aspects of it and think that that's all that it has to offer, but it's not. So if you really were prepared and had the right tutelage and right mentors and the right support system, you could truly thrive in a place like Albany because it's smaller. Your competition base isn't as large as if you go to other metropolitan areas and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's also limiting too. Because it can be limiting because your access to people are going to be limited. And it'll be limited to where you are. But that's the importance of getting out and traveling and realize that it's a lot bigger than Albany. Right. And it's worlds that exist outside of here.
Right. And I think, people traveling and bringing, those things back, those tools back to Albany is very important. So.
Yeah. Which is why I'm interviewing you guys. Listen. That's why I'm interviewing you guys. It's just like, it's just each and every one of our path, either for those who still live in Albany or for those of us who've wiggled up out of there and planted roots elsewhere. You know what I mean? We've all had different paths to get there. And it's just like the uniqueness of that is that it doesn't have to be the same. Your route out of Albany went to New York to wherever, mine's went to North Carolina and wherever, but it's, it's so many different paths. And the more we get to see people that look like us, there's a saying I always say, we learn from the successes and failures of people who look like us. So the more we see individuals who look like us, who are doing it, who have transitioned or made the necessary moves, it's like, well, you know what, I can do that too. You know what I mean? I don't gotta sell myself out. I don't gotta just fall victim to what everybody else expects me to be. I can be so much greater than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let me see. During your early education between kindergarten and 12th grade, do you think that racism played a role in the education that you received at all?
I wouldn't say that I recognized racism,
Okay.
so to speak, at that time. It may or may not have, but not that I, personally recognize.
Okay.
Not that early on, but
Okay.
later on, absolutely.
Okay.
But K to 12, I wouldn't say that I recognized it.
Okay. Okay. I interviewed Lawan Cancer last week, and he said the same thing pretty much. He was just like, Ty, he said, my experience with people, you know, luckily for him, he had never experienced it. And I said, that's a beautiful thing, though. It's a beautiful thing because we have some dope people in the world of every ethnic background, white, black, yellow, Puerto Rican, whatever is the full gamut. And then we also have some bad people in each one of these categories as well. But if you've had the opportunity to not be negatively impacted in that capacity, I think it's a great thing because it allows you to open up to other people. It allows you to find your commonalities a lot more, as opposed to the things that keep us different, which is just our skin.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think it's what's funny, I'm sitting here I'm thinking of, because I don't think that I would say that racism played a part in my education, but I do think that I realized early how people would judge me, whether it was based upon who I hung with or whether it was based upon the clothes that I wore. And it's too funny. I'm sitting here just thinking of a teacher that we had. I'm not sure if you had him in Hackett, but he said something to me, and I definitely won't say his name, but he said something to me, and at the time, all I could do was fight back with arrogance, because what he said was that he told me, he said, Tyrell, I don't like you, right? And my immediate response was to fight back at him and say, well, I don't like you too, but really, looking back at it, I was really crushed that the teacher said that to me.
Right.
And it was just like, as opposed to telling him that he crushed me by him saying that to me, it was just like my immediate response was to say, well, I don't like you either, and but it's just like, so you'll have like those type of things that'll happen, and by the grace of God, that didn't tarnish
well,
my
now
relationship.
That you mention it, I did have a particular teacher who happened to be Black, and she said something to me one day about my brother. And it's kind of like when you say racism, well, this is a Black teacher, but she kind of stereotyped me based on, how Black people are, and then, like the history of your family. But she was just like, because I was really quiet in her class, and she's just like, I'm surprised that you're not acting like your brother. I thought I knew he would end up doing, something or going to jail. And that was really shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, so it's like those things, like, but I've always tried to turn negatives into positives. So regardless of what experience I got myself in, because I'm not going to blame the world, some of the stuff I put myself in, and then other times is other people's perception of us. So, but you end up you take lemons and make lemonade, or you turn negatives and turn them into positives, and that's it. So that you become the oxymoron. Yeah, I think you're going to be just like your brother, but it'd be like, well, now I'm going to show you through what I'm doing that, I'm so much more than what you limited me to.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, got an interesting question for you. And the Black Lives Matter movement isn't just about police brutality, but it's also about dismantling systematic racism. If you were in charge of a particular chapter of Black Lives Matter, what would be two or three things that you would want the community to focus on?
Um, Uplifting one another,
Okay.
for one.
Okay.
And I think, a lot of different chapters are focused on that, but I mean, that is key. Just, reeling ourselves back in because there's so much self-hatred in the Black
Yeah.
community. So, we really need to focus on uplifting one another. So that would be one thing. Another thing I would focus on is, support.
Yeah.
Like keeping the Black dollar, alive, like supporting Black businesses. That's extremely important. We don't have the support of the corporate world, so to speak. We gotta kind of start from ground zero. We're not always, I'm not gonna say we're not ever, but not always privileged enough to have, the backing that our counterparts get. So, relying heavy on networking through our people and supporting
Okay.
the Black dollar. So,
Okay. Yeah. I think support is huge, and you can do
idea sharing, again, sharing ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with, sharing your vision to a certain extent. I understand it's like, oh, this is my thing, and I don't want someone to copy what I'm doing. But again, there's room for everyone to collaborate. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know who you can and can't trust to a certain extent. So,
Because
bring your
because
people up with you. I mean, they're your people for a reason, and you should want to see your people succeed just as much as yourself. So,
but part of that is identifying your people. You know what I mean? Imagine like some of us still as adults struggle with the idea of who's really in my corner and who's just there cheering me during good times. You know what I
right.
mean? So imagine that for young adults, you know what I mean, having to still maneuver or figure out who's actually there for us. So sometimes communicating your ideas to everybody can be detrimental because a person will go ahead and steal your idea, run with it, and take it as theirs.
Right, but I mean,
But
at a certain level, you have to, you have to have certain things in place. You're not just
okay.
sharing. Maybe it's the wrong terminology. You're not sharing your ideas. You know what I mean? Establish your LLC. Do what you got to do, but then still, see if there's a piece or a portion that you can, share with your people. And it's important to learn, early recognition of the people who are not down for you.
Correct.
That takes life experience, though, honestly, to be able to vet people in that manner. Yeah.
Okay. You remember Peyton?
Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Peyton be talking all the time now, right? So he sent me a text and he goes, long story short, but he was just saying how I used to be extremely hard on him, especially when we were younger, right? And I was just telling him, just like, bro, I never knew where I was gonna end up, but I also started to learn through watching my older brother and his interactions and stuff like that, how far I wanted to go into the streets, you know what I mean? How far, I wanted to go with education. And it was just like, once you start being able to identify those things, you start staying away from the things that you don't want, and be like, and it gives you room for other doors to open up. But he always used to be like, yo, bro, you were real hard on me, but I needed that. You know what I mean? I needed that because it was like, yo, you kept me focused. You kept me on track. So he's like, if I didn't count on anybody telling me the truth, I knew that Rel was going to tell me the truth. So like, you know what I mean? So you need those circles, you know what I mean? You need people that believe in you, and you need people that's going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm out of control, tell me I'm out of control, and I need to be able to trust you enough to believe that you see something that I don't see at the time. And you know what I mean? But
Yeah, that's absolutely essential. I say that all the time. A lot of people want a lot of yes men and yes women in their corner, but that's not what you need.
Mm.
Like, that's definitely not what you need. You need somebody, like you said, to get you together and, let you know what you need to be doing, refocus you, and make sure you're not, going down that wrong path. Or
Okay. All right. I got my next question for
I
you.
need somebody to get me together back in the day. But
Hey, listen, I mean, but that's something that you now can pass on to your children. And it's
yeah.
like I said, so it goes back to that question, what is something that you wish someone would have told the younger Candace? And be like, yo, get you a good squad. You know what I mean? Keep you a good squad around you that have some ideas, that has some principles, and you know what I mean, y'all gonna be pushing each other to do X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Because who you surround yourself is uh is so important into who you end up becoming, because it's just like what they say, birds of a feather flock together. So it's just like, yo, you really want to be careful who you surround yourself with. And and it's only by the grace of God, I'll say this, that I done survived a lot of a lot of things, but God had a different calling. You know what I mean?
Me
Yeah.
too. So yeah, that was something I preached heavily to my daughters. You know, being in good circles, and how to recognize when people are not truly your friends. And more so, I think financial management was one of the major things I talked to my kids about. Because I don't think that was a big thing back in the day for us that people talked about a lot. It was just kind of like, maybe learn as you go. And there could have been families, maybe I just don't know about it, but I don't think that was a huge thing that was talked about in my family. And I think I drilled my kids real hard about it.
Nice. And I think that you're right. I don't, it may have existed, and a lot of times we don't see what's going on in communities or in families outside of us. We see what we readily see. And I know I didn't see that as a topic of discussion. I didn't see that as a focus within my household. And those were things that came later on. I mean, watching my mom put her credit together when I went away to school, and purchasing her first home and stuff like that. All of that stuff came later on. And it was like, so learning the importance of credit, learning the importance of being able to pay bills on time. Those are things that I learned early. So it's just like, before you're like, anybody worried about that stuff? And then you start to realize that this stuff matters, and you're like, now you hold on to it for life. You're like, no, never late paying the bill. You'd be like, never co-sign.
Co-signing is a no.
Yeah.
So.
You know what I mean? But yeah. All right, let me see. This one right here is going to touch my heart because one, I have so many friends who are still directly connected to or has ties to this. So sadly, Albany has seen more and more violence, and our communities has experienced a lot of loss over the years. What would you like to see change in Albany? What is your hope for the city, Candice?
To recognize the value of life. Like when you really have to value life and all that it is for, people to respect a life, you know what I mean? Like, and not go and try to take someone else's life. I understand there's disagreements. You may not like this person, they may have done you dirty, whatever they're involved in, but that's somebody's son, somebody's daughter, sister, brother, mother, just to respect and value life and set boundaries. I mean, you don't have to like this person, you don't have to deal with them in that way. There's other ways there's multiple ways to skin a cat, I mean, so to speak, but taking a life that's never, it's never the answer. I just wish people would value life more and just know the effects, the long-term effects that it has on any and everybody involved. put yourself in that, predicament,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that's not the mindset when you want to seek revenge or, deal with somebody, because they seemingly hurt your feelings or they messed up your money, whatever the case may be. I just wish people would value life more. I'm in an interview. So you might as well say mine now.
Hi. Listen, I ended up having my wife take mine all the way back to the other side of the house, and she plays with them there, because if not, they'll be down here in every interview. And my 4-year-old, he waits up for me because we put him to bed at 8:30, but he'll wait up for me and he'd be like, "Dad, you done with your interview?" I'd be like, "Boy, what you still doing up?" But yeah, no, yeah, but yeah, speaking on your hope for the city is just, I really do wish people would value life a lot more. I really do. And if in not only our own lives, but the lives of other people. And it's just like, I look at Albany. So like sometimes I'm just gonna be honest, like even when I travel back to Albany, I used to go at least like once a month to check on the property there. And I love Albany. So, but now it's like, okay, I'd be like, I'm gonna leave the family here. And it'd be like, because I'm used to it, but it'd be like, my kids didn't grow up in that, and my wife is not from there, so it's just like, I'll go by myself, you know what I mean? But and then even then when I go by myself, sometimes it's just still a worrisome thing too. Be like, it's not necessary, because you got stray bullets coming around, and it's just like Albany wasn't always like this. It was such a dope place to for me. Albany was a dope place. Like I couldn't wait to get older. I couldn't wait to be able to hang out at certain spots in Albany. And it was a greater sense of community when we came up in Albany. The houses look totally different, and it's just like, some people didn't do a thing to those houses. Now I go back to Albany now, and you're like tons of X's on all these houses. They dilapidated. No one's done anything to them, and it'd be like, this isn't the same Albany, and I can't wait for it to get back to a thriving state where people are taking care of the properties. It's going on right now. It's just going to be a slow process, because even in the process, sometimes you're just going to have to wait it out. But in the meantime, I hate seeing how it's affecting the city that I love so much, the people that I love within the city. And I can't wait for us collectively to want more and to do more.
Right. I agree 100%.
Yeah. Well, question for you. How did growing up in Albany prepare you for adulthood, Miss Candice?
I feel like it taught me valuable lessons. It did give me a sense of community, because Albany was, so small. So, when I got to like bigger places, I still had that sense of community and growing up around people being close and, knowing close friends and things like that. But it prepared me to be ready, for anything. So, I experienced at a young age, I feel like there was a lot of loss back then too. So I experienced loss. I experienced, good times. It just really prepared me for the good and the bad, I would say. So, but I do miss the sense of community back in the days, block parties, just different things. I feel like it made me a well-rounded person.
I miss the safety too, though. I'm sitting there thinking, I said, if I remember right, like, what is that? That's in between Ontario and South Island. I think that's the next one up. It was just like, I think that might have been when you where you were at. But that neighborhood was, if you look at it now, in comparison to what it looked like when we were younger, it's totally different. It was just like, there were nice houses there. People took care of the stuff, and it's just like,
nice. Yeah.
you know what I mean? So Me and Dr. L or LaShawna Liscombe was talking the other day, and it's like, and she grew up in between North Lake and Quail. It was like, yo, no one touched that street. It was just always just like nice, and it's just like, but you know, so now it's just like, you know, the regard for our property, the regard for our community has changed so drastically.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I went back.
Changing as the world changes. You know, I feel like just people are losing a sense of self and sense of community. So that's, you know, that's what happened.
Well, we need more positivity out here in the world. We need more hope, and you know, I mean, I just hope that everyone can hold on a little bit longer for it, and realize that we got to be the change that we seek. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We got to be the change that we seek.
And one of the other big things in the Black community I want to talk about is mental health, especially in light of COVID, because I mean, the suicide rate is off the charts, especially since COVID, in the COVID environment. But outside of COVID, I just wish more Black people would seek help, you know, seek, and I said that word first just to say help in the sense that it's going to build you up. Not like, oh, there's something wrong with you. You're having an issue, just like any other issue. It's like, you know,
therapy is dope.
Right. Therapy is dope. It's, you know, it only serves to help us, to make us grow, get better. So I wish people would look at therapy in a more positive light, rather than, oh, it's something wrong with you, or I'm just sitting down talking, you know, like stop looking at the negative connotation of therapy and actually, you know, attend therapy, because it can do major things for people. Major things. I mean, therapists have therapists, okay? So
exactly. Exactly. But mental health is huge, because you can't talk about peace in the community back together. You can't talk about all these other aspects until we have happy, healthy, and whole beings. Period. And your mental stability is a huge part of that. But we used to have this big stigma around it. So I'm glad that that you brought it up. I know when I had, like I said, Dr. L, it's two of them. They have the real therapists for the culture, right? And you know, they talk about a lot of issues, and like a major one is like just your mental health. Tomorrow we're doing a seminar with my frat chapter here on the Black mental health. I mean, excuse me, mental health for Black men. But it's just important to get past the stigma. And I think, you know, Jay-Z did it a little bit with that 444 album. And I remember we always have like gatherings here at our house. But we ended up having a 444 meets lemonade. So it was a bunch of people here, and we had it. We ended up doing breakout sessions. Had the ladies upstairs watching the Beyonce videos from Lemonade, and the guys were downstairs doing the little the footnotes, as Jay-Z called them, from the 444 album, and just, you know, talking about a lot of the things that plague us as Black people, as Black men, as Black women, and not having an outlet to express those things.
Right. And we definitely need to express them. We need to, you know, release them, express them, and learn how to move forward, you know, with those things. So I think it's very important. People, you know, just because, you know, you're educated, you know, some people, you know, it's fitness for them. They got their financials together, but the mental health component that brings everything all in together, a holistic approach is what we need to take, because we're raising, you know, kids and things like that. And I mean, you know, you can be financially stable and have everything else together, but some of the way that we deal with and talk to our children, that just kind of keeps, things going. And we don't realize it, but we could be damaging our children in the way that we are archaic mindset. Well, it worked for me, or I was good, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. We know that this generation is very different.
Definitely.
Very, very different.
Definitely.
I'm not saying I understand it completely, but they're very different, and it sucks sometimes. You're like, I don't get it. They should just be more resilient, but we have to sometimes be more sensitive to that, and call in the experts. And therapy is something that can start, as a small child if needed. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Listen, I'm a huge advocate for it, and like you said, I think the more the stigma is removed from it, the more we'll realize the residuals or the benefits that we can get from it. And imagine being able to have, like, I'm 37 now, and it's like, some of the things I learned now, I'd be like, I wish I had known then, or I had a better understanding of myself. It's like, oh, when I used to do that, this is why I was doing it. And, I never understood why I was doing it. You know what I mean? So, if we're able to give those tools by having a healthier version of ourselves to our kids, that's a win. If we're able to give those tools to ourselves, you know what I mean? You can also give that to other individuals and take the stigma away. Now, when I talk about things with my guy friends, we'll talk about that. Or if it's marital issues, we'll talk about that. Or if it's whatever it is. I got a young man right now who just lost his dad, and then losing his dad is just like, yo, I think this is what you need. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we go through so many traumatic experiences, and we're just forced to move forward, and it's not normal. You know what I mean? The amount of death that we see on a regular basis or on TV and social media is not normal.
It's not. Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that. I had a conversation about that. Some of us are just like, from school to the hard knocks, we just keep moving forward, and you keep moving forward until you just crash. And that's never, that's never a good thing. So
yeah. Get some fine tools. Get some what do you call it? Some fine tuning along the way before you hit that crash.
Exactly.
Learn some good tools.
And I think, it's something that should be talked about more. I think maybe in the schools, just, getting kids used to it, because, I think you learn from the world. It's just like, oh, they go to therapy, they crazy. You know what I mean? No one ever wants to be called crazy. But that's just how it is.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think that we'll ever go back to a time period where it was where the stigma was as heavy as it was, because now we just live in an age where it's more of us taking advantage of these tools than it's not. So, you know what I mean? And then you'll see the harm of people who choose not to, and be like, you really need to talk to somebody. But he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna do it my way. You're like, you really need to talk to somebody.
Nah, you really need it, bro.
Yeah. Let me see. I got a next question for you. Success is measured in many ways. How do you measure success, and how do you stay motivated when you face obstacles?
Measures of success for me. So success for me is defined as, of course, personal growth and development, but how I develop other people. That's how I measure success for me. Who was I able to train and pass on valuable tools to? So, it's outside of me, so to speak.
Okay.
I don't measure success by a degree or, a wicket, a check in the box that I made. Who was I able to affect? And, what impact did I make on, a person, the community, the enterprise, when you, speak of my particular job or specialty. And the second question was,
how do you stay motivated when you're faced with obstacles?
I think I just know that obstacles are going to be, there's always going to be obstacles. But I look at them as a challenge for me to overcome, I wouldn't say I am competitive in a certain, not like as far as like against other people, but with myself. It's like, okay, I overcame this. This is just, this is a step above. Like, can you do this? Just setting higher standards for myself. So that's what keeps me motivated. Like, I can do anything. I really, I believe that anybody can do anything. So that's what keeps me motivated. It's like, I gotta do this. And sometimes you have to have those little talks with yourself, like, okay, failure is not an option. Yes, there's certain things that you're like, okay, I failed this time, or I didn't meet the exact standard that I wanted to meet. So I'll try again, but like absolutely not getting it done is not an option for me. If I set, my mind is set on something.
Okay. What about your life's path are you the most proud of?
My kids, raising, I'm still raising them, even though they're 20 and 18, those girls ain't grown, they think they are. But my kids, being able to, being a young mom, a single mom, I'm proud of what my daughters are becoming, that I was able to, take care of my kids pretty much by myself, because I joined the military young and, I was away. I didn't have family that could just come and readily be available for me. So I had to, figure it all out myself, but, just making it and having respectable kids that, I'm not saying they're perfect, because no kids are perfect, but respectable
woman.
But respectable kids that, love me and love other people, value other people, and, have good morals. I think that's what I'm most proud of, my children. One of my children is calling me right now.
That's right. Listen. Perfect timing.
Incessantly.
See, I just got done talking about you. Let me see. How has traveling and or relocation impacted or shifted your worldview?
It's opened my eyes to just like so many different things that just show me that there's so much more, and there's so many different ways to do things. I wouldn't have had it any other way, because I just got to see so many different things. I love it, and for me, I would say it. Like thinking about it, I'm like, oh man, it kind of sucks. My kids never really was in one place, so they didn't get to grow up like I grew up and have these forever friends or grow up with cousins. And for a little bit, initially I looked at it negatively, but then the positive is they get to see so many different things, so many different ways to do things, and so many different opportunities in different places, that I think is a positive. Just being in different places shows you, it opens your eyes to the world. It just lets you know that there's so many bigger things. Your way that you thought things should run and should go, now it's much different. You know, it changes your mindset. Like, oh, okay. Like, just stuff like, dang, they ain't got no corner stores here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to the corner store and it's like, yeah, nah, they ain't got no corner stores, but it's real, beautiful. And they keep everything real clean here. So just, stuff as small as that. Okay. Down to the way that people, function and get things done. I think living in different places is good.
It'll do that to you, man. I said, getting out of Albany was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Going to Charlotte, going abroad to live in Morocco, you know what I mean? It was just like, you get a chance to experience life in a different way. And it's just like, your appreciation for people changes. You know what I mean? The more you get a chance to embrace other cultures, other beliefs, and realize that it's not just your limited way of thinking. Because I had such a limited worldview. Albany was the world. And then you step outside of Albany and realize that, it's other people that do things other places. I thought that the only supermarket everywhere in the world was Price Chopper, right?
Man, for a minute I did. And then you start looking at like, oh, hours. Like being from New York, a lot of things would be open late, and then you go other places, they're shut down, and it's like, what's going on here? So yeah, I mean, it gives you a better view, and so many people survive with so much less, just like, traveling the world. You can see that on TV, but just like actually experiencing it in the flesh and seeing how they make do with so much less than we do. It's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Go to Paris.
Priorities.
You go to Paris, you ain't getting no refills on soda. What is that? But we overdo it. It shows you that Americans, we really do. We consume a lot and, kind of overdo things to an extent.
To a major extent.
Yeah,
to a major extent. It's not until you realize that you don't have to, that you begin to change. You know what I mean? Whether that is how much we spend monetarily, how much we eat, you know what I mean? How much we do everything. Everything has to be done in moderation. You know what I mean? So, but it's just like, I look at the younger Tyrell, you know what I mean? The 20 something year old Tyrell, I had about 3 cars for no reason. You know what I mean? Be like, what I would do to give back with some of the money or the things that I did as a young person. Now I'd be like, never again. Or, you know what I mean? Now I'd be like, you don't even need that, So now you could stack a whole nother way, you know what I mean? Don't put your money on these particular things, put your money on something that's going to build, you know what I mean? Build, look at assets and stuff like that. But sometimes you got to go through the experience. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way to get it.
But I think we need to definitely, be putting it out there for the youth to, learn from our mistakes and definitely sharing that information so they don't have to experience it. One of the major things, I taught my kids about is, and now whether they, continue to do it or not, but like the importance of credit and the financials, but like, a lot of us, let me not say a lot of us, I'll just talk about me, maybe my experience with like, bills being put in their name as youth and having to rebuild their credit, just doing the opposite. Like, I feel like I did the complete opposite and made sure that, I put my kids on my credit cards, but those were always paid. And, I was really meticulous. I was always like a 1 credit card person, and I immediately transfer the money over and always, kept the great credit score. So then boom, when my kids are 18, they got the same credit score that I have, you know what I mean? And, you know, investing money and things like that. So they're not starting from square one with credit, you know, and going and getting a credit card and misusing it.
We
you know, just set up to a point where they don't really need it. And, you know, in my eyes, I'm like, you know, if you ain't got the money for it, you don't need it.
You don't need it. Yeah, we don't use credit anymore. We did Dave Ramsey's
Oh yeah, I put them
financial
through
piece.
that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I bought the same thing that that my wife and I took, and I bought it for all my siblings too. And it's because I always say it's so hard to think long term when you're still caught up in the regular day-to-day, because it's an overwhelming feeling that you have on you. It's like I don't even have the opportunity to think there yet. But really, it's a mindset. You mentioned earlier, it was just like, so you don't need this big, large sum of money in order to get right. Sometimes you got to change your mindset, change your habits, change the different things that you're doing to build it. And, you know, I mean, if you're patient enough, you know what I mean, you'll see it happen. But no, those are great things to be passing off to your children, and they'll have a different experience. You know, I had the same thing. It was like before I got a chance to have credit, I didn't have no credit because I had bills in my name already.
I was like, I ain't do that.
So
yeah, and you know, like you said, investments, the importance of investments. You know, I get it. We all want to rock J's. We want to be fly, and that's okay. You know, when you get to a point that you can do that, that's fine. You know, be fashionable. That's great, but make sure you invest. And I think one of the biggest things I taught my daughters, one of them's really great at it. The other one, she ain't, but paying yourself first. Like you get paid, you off top, you know, you're saving a large portion of that. And then, you know, you pay your bills, which didn't have any yet, but you know, when you have bills, you got bills. But saving and, you know, investing in something that's gonna grow your money. Yeah. Not just, you know, not just throwing it in a little savings that is not really, you know, growing your money, something that you could just touch and oh, something came up, I just want to, you know, empty out my savings, putting it in something long term that's gonna grow.
Listen, 529 plans are dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things we're working on for Albany right now. If everything goes through, we have a major donor who wants to give with my fraternity there. I'm still involved in that chapter there and my local chapter here. But you know, and one of them is going to be teaching financial literacy, because it's just huge. And imagine what we can do if we understood stocks early. You know what I mean? Imagine what we can do if we understood the importance of continuing to invest small amounts or whatever, and realizing how that continues to just grow. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. But you know, I won't hold you up too much longer, man. I got two more questions for you. Yeah, I definitely won't hold you up too much longer. Let me see. Second and last question. Thinking about your strengths, Candice, what skills or knowledge what skills or knowledge that you have about yourself is the most transferable? If you were to take a skill or a knowledge set that you have and you were able to transfer that to the Albany community, what would it be?
I would say being humble. Yeah, being humble. Like, you know, you can achieve whatever, but I mean, just, you know, being able to, you know, stay down. I think that's really, really important. And, you know, it changes how you deal with people and changes how you deal with situations. So I would say that's, you know, a big strength that I have. Just, you know, getting out there, not, you know, making it and feeling like you're on some, you know, other level where, and not saying you get out of touch with people, but just servant. If I could change what I said, I would say servant leadership.
Okay.
Servant leadership. is really where I'm going with that. Being able to serve and being there for the people, looking out for other people's wants and needs, and in turn is a greater investment because people will do leaps and bounds more than you expected by being a servant, a humble servant leader, investing in your people, and the return on investment is greater.
Okay. And I remember being on an airplane one day, and I won't tell the whole backstory of it, but the gentleman that we were sitting next to, he told us his daughter's name, and his daughter's name was Joy, right? And it was Jesus, others, and then yourself. So when you talk about being a servant, I think the word used was a servant leader. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but it's just like, the importance of being able to put other people first, or being able to see the importance of how these things affect other people. So, yourself, others, Jesus, others, and then yourself, so. Okay. And let me see. Here's my second to last question for you. Are there any type of resources like apps, podcasts, social medias that you follow that you believe you get a good message from that you would like to share with the Albany community? Motivational speakers that you're following, books that you're reading? Let us know what's going on in the world of Miss Candyce Curry.
Well, I follow really heavy. He's a Navy guy, but he also, he just speaks freely out, everywhere. So he doesn't really even do much in uniform, but it's a guy named Anthony Waite. And it's called Leaders of the Future. I can post it or send it to you. But he talks everything. I mean, life, real life stuff. A young guy who, went through some traumatic times, but he's a Navy nurse, but also has, degrees in business. So, he goes all around the country and talks to financial specialists. He talks, to kids. He hits all the wickets from children to adults. Talking, about tools that we absolutely need. It's really good. Really good.
Anthony Waite. I'm on it.
Anthony Waite.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you his. He's been on TED Talks. He's done it all. It's pretty amazing. We worked together in San Diego, and just, seeing him take off is amazing.
Nice. Okay. All right. And my last official question for the evening, I ask every interviewee the same question. If you were to recommend someone for me to interview next for a back interview, who would you recommend me to interview?
From Albany?
Yep.
I would recommend Soraya Byram's. You know Soraya?
Yeah, I know Soraya. I know Soraya.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Duly noted.
I think Soraya's dope. I might be a little biased. That's my god sister, but no. I think Soraya is, a really good, a positive influence in the community. So.
Okay. All right. I'm on it. Yeah, I don't think I spoke to Soraya maybe since high school. It feels like, at least. But yeah, nope, I know her very well. And I always like to ask the people that I'm interviewing who they would recommend, because we all have people who influence us in different ways that, I'm not going to be directly connected to. And through your recommendation, I can bring those individuals in as well to get them involved as well. So thank you for sharing your time with us tonight.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. I'm so very proud of you, and thankful that you're doing this. I think this is amazing. So it was a no-brainer when you asked me. Yeah, life is busy, but you make time, you know, for things that are important. So, you know, it was just like, this is what I got to do because this is important, you know, to me. I don't get to Albany as much as, you know, and you know, that's neither here nor there, but Albany is still home. And, you know, I want nothing more than for people to, you know, grow and thrive, especially in my hometown. So,
Okay.
yeah, I've talked about some ventures. They haven't come to fruition yet, but you know, coming back home to do some talks and, you know, do some things, you know, futuristically. And I'm very methodical and, you know, calculated. So it will happen, you know, if I tell myself it. It may not be
Oh,
this
you already
year.
told us that earlier. Whatever you set your mind to, you're gonna go ahead and do because you are competitive with yourself.
With
So I
myself,
know
I
that
am.
that will come to fruition.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for sharing your time with us, Albany community. Thank you for staying with us as well. And I look forward to getting your message out to the people. I continue to wish success for you and your family, health for you and your family, and stay safe during these times, Ms. Candice.
Thank you. And same to you and your family. Be safe and God bless you.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll
Thanks.
talk to you later.
All right. Peace.
All right. Bye-bye.